Hi, I'm Dr. Felice Gersh, your integrative OBGYN physician, speaking to you tonight about a topic that is near and dear to me. It's about how to optimize your chances of conceiving, and not just conceiving, but hopefully having an uncomplicated pregnancy and a healthy baby, if you are one of the many women who suffer with polycystic ovary syndrome. PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, is the most common endocrine disorder of reproductive women and the most common cause of female infertility. So this is an issue facing millions of women around the world because this is an international epidemic of PCOS. So how do I get to be so interested in this? Well, many of you may know from reading the PCOS series, PCOS SOS, that I am a PCOS sufferer. I had horrendous acne when I was in my 20s. I had a time when I had very irregular cycles. I went once 2 years without a period. And because of my lack of ovulation, I didn't know too much about it, but I knew I had to do something. I self-diagnosed. But to get pregnant with my first baby, I had to use fertility treatments. I used fertility pharmaceuticals. So this is not an unfamiliar topic to me personally, and of course professionally. I have helped thousands of women with PCOS to achieve pregnancy. So what I'm going to do in this little segment is go over what I would call the 5 critical things to optimize conception and do it rapidly. Now, there are many more things that can be involved in achieving pregnancy besides what I'm going to talk about, but I would put these in the top 5. Number 1 is proper nutrition. I cannot emphasize the importance of having a healthy gut microbiome. The trillions of microbes that inhabit our intestinal tract are not just there to take up space. They actually are critical for having successful fertility. And I can't go into it in great detail tonight, but we're going to talk many more times about the gut microbiome. But how do you have a healthy gut microbiome? These are living little creatures, and you've got to feed them. You've got to nurture them. You've got to care for them. And the number one thing is to feed them the food they love, which is plant-based. So I advocate that you, if you are a PCOS woman, with or without a fertility issue, but let's just focus on fertility, eat 9 cups of vegetables of all different types, the colors of the rainbow every day. Now that's a goal. I know that most people can't have 3 cups of vegetables. This is measured raw with every single meal, but it's a goal. And everybody should strive for that. And when I say the colors of the rainbow, I mean all the different colors, oranges and reds and purples and blues and of course greens, because each color represents a different set of polyphenols. I call that the magic sauce of vegetables that add so much beyond just the vitamins, the minerals, which are also critically important, and of course the fiber. Fiber is what gets fermented, and that is what leads to, down the chain, many other healthy, happy microbes. And ultimately a healthy gut, because the short-chain fatty acids, these are metabolites of fermentation by these microbes, actually signal to the brain, the liver, the vagus nerve, and also act as food for the lining cells of the intestine and help to create a healthy gut lining to have gut integrity. So you don't have that leaky gut, which we'll talk about other times, but we got to avoid it. We have to have healthy gut. And part of eating the colors of the rainbow, along with all the fibers and all the diversity of plants, is that you get this other magical ingredient that are called phytoestrogens. Now, all the legumes, the different beans and lentils are in fact phytoestrogens. Lots of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds also contain polyphenols, which are phytoestrogens. So phytoestrogens means these are special molecules that are part of the plant that can bind to our own estrogen receptors, creating benefit, not harm, lots and lots of benefit. And we'll talk much more about nutrition because we're just going to touch on the 5 most important things for women with PCOS to do to optimize fertility and pregnancy. So number 1 again is eat a plant-based diet, lots and lots of different kinds of plants, nuts and seeds, fruits and vegetables, with a goal to eat of great diversity and 3 cups of varied types of vegetables with every meal, assuming you eat 3 meals a day, which leads me to number 2, which is to nurture your master clock that sits atop your optic nerve in your hypothalamus of your brain that helps regulate all the different clocks of the body, all the different organ systems to keep us working in one time zone. So number 2 is to help reestablish, because women with PCOS do not have proper circadian rhythms, to help reestablish a healthy circadian rhythm. Did you know there are clock genes in the ovaries? The ovaries are very circadian. They are not the same at different times of the day. So we want to help get your clock genes in order, get your ovaries in the right time zone. So how can you do that? Well, one thing is by eating at fixed times every day, and not just any random times every day, but have breakfast, a big breakfast, have a medium lunch, and an early small dinner with no snacks in between. You can drink all the herbal teas you like, no sweeteners, nothing else added, because by eating to the beat, you help to set the clocks of your gut microbiome and of your ovaries, because you got to eat to the beat to keep things working in beautiful synchrony throughout the body. We know that women who live a jet-lagged life, for example, flight attendants, nurses who work at night, any of the many people, like 25% of the population that work at night, those women have much higher rates of infertility, weight gain, sleep disturbances, mood problems, insulin resistance, even developing diabetes, and higher rates of cancers. So the last thing we want is to live an intentional life of jet lag. Now, if you're in a career where you are working at night, you better think twice, is this your priority? Or what can you do to get on a day shift? And nurture that circadian rhythm by getting lots of bright light in the morning and at noontime. Get your room really dark at night. Turn off the blue light devices. Get, if you need to, blue light blocking glasses if you need to be on a computer. Don't watch television or screens for 2 hours preferably, especially when you're trying to get pregnant, before you go off to bed. So sunlight and then eating at the right times will help to get your clocks in the same time zone. So live to the beat and your ovaries will work much better. So what's next? Certain special kinds of supplements can help. Number 3 is special supplements to help women with PCOS. Now, there's a whole array, and I go into that in much more detail in my books. But here I'm just going to focus on 3 that are some of my favorites. 1, myo-inositol. And I've done whole segments on the inositols. Myo-inositol has been shown to improve the estrogen the ovaries makes, to improve the production of critical estradiol, to improve egg quality, and to help promote healthy ovulation and better quality embryos. So make sure you include myo-inositol. I recommend 2 grams twice a day. Now, what else? How about N-acetyl cysteine, also known as NAC? This has antioxidant properties, glucose regulation properties, and it's been shown to help improve the incidence of ovulation in women with PCOS. I'm going to throw in another one that you may not have thought about. It's magnesium. Magnesium is a mineral that most people are actually deficient in. It helps with at least 700 different reactions in the body, including better sleep, better pooping, so reduces constipation, better mood. It helps you make neurotransmitters. It helps with muscle contractions to make them proper. And it helps with glucose regulation, which is a problem for most women with PCOS. They have insulin resistance. So we want to have 400 to 500 milligrams of magnesium. And depending on if you're constipated or not, would determine which type, like glycinate or citrate, if you tend towards constipation. Number 4, stress control. I can't emphasize the importance of controlling stress in women with PCOS. They tend to have very active production of the stress neurotransmitters and hormones. This suppresses proper ovulation and just makes life miserable. It increases horrible things like hypertension and disrupted sleep, which is so important. So, stress control. What's my favorite? Well, I happen to love guided meditation. In my office, we also teach biofeedback with guided meditations, or also known as guided imageries. But there are many others. There's so many forms of meditation. You can use essential oils. You can use progressive relaxation, tapping. There's a whole variety. Find one that resonates with you and do it every day. Every day you need to include your mind-body practice and breath work. The basic ones that I learned, for example, in my integrative fellowship is deep in breathing through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 7, and then breathe out through your mouth slowly with a whooshing sound for 8 seconds. Do that 5 times, 3 times a day. You'll feel the calmness come over you. And number 5 is avoidance of environmental toxicants, pollutants, chemical endocrine disruptors that disrupt an already, we'll say, tenuous hormonal environment in women with PCOS. Think about plastics, flame retardants, pesticides, herbicides. What are the chemicals in your food? Avoid, if at all possible, all processed foods. Try to buy organic. Try to make that a priority in your budget. Don't eat and drink out of plastics. Try to use stainless steel and glass. Try to use clean products in your home. Don't use chemicals. You can use vinegar and water and lemon juice. I mean, these are amazing. They clean, they make things shine. You don't need those horrible chemicals that are harmful and are full of solvents. These are poisonous. So remember, every woman with PCOS can improve her fertility, her chances of not just conceiving, but having an uncomplicated pregnancy and a healthy baby. And don't think it's a failure if you need to have some fertility help, like I did for my first baby. If you need to take fertility drugs, even if you need to have IVF, everything I'm suggesting will help to make those processes more successful. You can do this. You can be healthy. You can conceive. So remember the 5 important tips, and you will improve your odds of being a healthy mom. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Have a good night.